Hey, what's going on, my fellow idiots? Welcome back for another episode of Idiot Proof Cooking. So today I'm going to be making some cookies, and I happen to have some apple cider in my fridge, so I've decided to make apple cider cookies, which are just absolutely fantastic and super easy to make. Two of the prerequisites for the channel here: super easy to make and tasty. And that's what these apple cider cookies are. They are so good. So let's get into making them. So to make apple cider cookies, we're obviously going to need some apple cider, so I picked some up from my local grocery store here. Make sure to give it a good shake, and I am going to give it a quick taste test just to make sure it tastes good. Yes, because you should always taste test your apple cider first, and yeah, that's awesome. So what we're going to do is pour in a cup of apple cider, and then we're going to reduce it down on our burner until it's about a quarter of a cup. So throw it into a pan, then go throw this on your burner on a medium-low heat, and let it simmer until it's reduced down to a quarter of a cup, so that it thickens up and it gets even more concentrated in flavor. Now, while the apple cider is thickening up, get out a large mixing bowl, pour in 1 3/4 of a cup of all-purpose flour, and then a teaspoon of baking powder, and then a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. Next in is a teaspoon of kosher salt. I'm just eyeballing that. And then we're going to add in some spices, starting off with 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, and then a 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. From there, get out your trusty whisk and whisk all of the dry ingredients together until they're thoroughly combined. We're then going to take this bowl and set it aside and bring in another mixing bowl to deal with the wet ingredients. Now, the first thing in is a 1/2 cup of white granulated sugar, and then a 1/4 cup of dark brown sugar. From there, we're going to add in 6 tablespoons of unsalted butter that's been left out at room temperature to soften up, but we don't want to melt the butter. From there, we're going to cream the butter and sugar together, at first unsuccessfully with a whisk, and then successfully with a spatula. Now, you could also use an electric mixer, and that would probably be easier to do. Then, after we've creamed the butter and sugar together, we're going to get out 2 large eggs, again at room temperature, so leave them out for 30 to 40 minutes. Crack both eggs in with the butter and sugar, and then mix this all together until it's thoroughly combined. Now we're going to go get our apple cider that we've reduced down, and it's going to be nice and concentrated in flavor, so pour the 1/4 cup of reduced apple cider in with all of the ingredients, and then a teaspoon of vanilla paste, and then a 1/4 cup of unsweetened applesauce for a extra appley taste. Mix that all together with your trusty whisk, and then once it's done, go get your dry ingredients back, because it's time to mix this all together to make our cookie dough. So just pour in the wet ingredients to the dry ingredients, and then use a spatula, a whisk, a spoon, an electric mixer, whatever you want, and mix this all together, the wet and dry ingredients, until they're thoroughly combined. Make sure there's no dry ingredients left over. Now, this is going to be a wetter cookie dough, so I'm going to stick this in the fridge for a couple of hours first to harden up a little bit. Alright, so now it's time to start forming these cookies. I've got a parchment-lined baking sheet here, and I'm just going to get out little scoops of cookie dough. As you can see, it's still a little bit tacky, but a few hours in the fridge definitely helped the dough firm up. So I'm just going to throw 6 pieces of cookie dough on my parchment-lined baking sheet here and bake them at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 10 to 15 minutes until they come out looking like this. Look at those cookies. They've expanded a little bit, but they didn't expand too much, and that's what we were looking for. Now we're just going to repeat the process here again at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 10 to 15 minutes until we get some apple cider cookies like this. Now the next step is to dunk these in some cinnamon sugar. Now I used about a 1/2 cup of white granulated sugar and 3 to 4 teaspoons of ground cinnamon. So all we're going to do is brush the cookies down in some melted unsalted butter. Make sure that they're nice and covered. You want to make sure that you get a lot of butter on these to really cover them in the cinnamon sugar, and then take the cookie, dunk it in the cinnamon sugar, and then just repeat the process until they're all completed, and they're going to look something like that. They smell heavenly at this point in time, but we're not quite done. We are going to give them a little bit of a glaze here. Now, the glaze is just to give them some extra added sweetness. That's optional. You don't have to glaze these if you don't want, but I obviously want to, so just give me a second here to move the cookies out of the way, and then we're going to bring back our bowl with our powdered sugar in, about 1.5 cups worth of powdered sugar, and then I'm just going to add in 1 to 2 tablespoons of apple cider. Mix this all together until you've got an apple cidery glaze. Look at that. All right, so it's pretty straightforward at this point in time. Just liberally cover the cookies in your cidery glaze. Again, though, you don't even have to do this if you don't want, but once they are covered, you've got some super sweet cinnamony apple cider cookies. And let's go in for the taste test. Oh, and look who showed up immediately. These are fantastic, though, let me tell you. And what does Rose think of them? Oh, that was a quick thumbs up today, guys. We got the seal of approval quick, and for good reason. These were so damn good. They were appley and cinnamony. It had a nice spice to them. They were just perfect, so delicious. And as you should have seen, oh, you know what, Rose is being a little bit of a goof. As you should have seen, these were pretty easy to come together. So let's call it there. I had a lot of fun making these, and I really think you'll enjoy them if you make them at home, so you should give them a try. If you like what you saw, drop me a comment, like the video, or even subscribe to the channel. Thanks again for watching Idiot Proof Cooking, and we'll see you again next time.